It's a picture-perfect night for softball in Ole Miss softball's new $32 million home as the Rebels host number 8 Florida in his freshman Mackenzie Pickens up the middle. Angelina De Leon, and a freshman for Ole Miss, are 19th in the country. Florida is to South Carolina last weekend. And Wacheño's inside the circle, faces Kendra Falby. And today's first pitch misses high. We're off and running on a gorgeous Friday in Oxford. Thanks so much for being with us. As Kendra Falby from Odessa, Florida. Look at these numbers. The OPS out of this world. Her batting average is also in another universe. That's just going to be the theme, and I'm very curious to see how the freshman Wacheño does against a veteran Florida lineup, Missy, that just swings it very well.
Yeah, they really do. And the home runs that they've hit this year has just been amazing. They had that big grand slam walk-off against Arkansas this past weekend. But, Falby just sets the tone, and here you see Wacheño get behind, and that's not really the way you want to start the game if you're Miley Wacheño.
There's a strike, 3-1. Jamie Traxel told us on the field earlier, limit the free passes. That was an issue for Wacheño last weekend against South Carolina. She walked a career-high 10 batters in game one.
Absolutely, and this conference is so tough, and you just don't want to give your opponent any opportunities.
De Leon not in time. Falby beats out the throw. They can run. They're so fast, too, on the base paths, Florida. And Falby's on with a leadoff single to begin in Oxford. De Leon's really good at third base, too.
Yes, she is, but, a high hopper like that and having to come down with it and then be able to throw out the speedy Falby at first base, that's a tough challenge for anybody.
Here's a freshman sensation now at the plate in Taylor Shoemaker. Freshman that's contributing right away for Florida. She finished February hitting .508 as a freshman for an SEC team.
Yeah, she is very, very good.
Sometimes that's all the analysis you need to convince the viewer back at home that she's good.
She is just very, very good.
She's just very, very good.
She leads the SEC in runs scored. She's third in RBIs. She's just so solid at the plate. And 54% of her hits have been for extra bases. That's just insane.
Saw her batting average, too, pop up on your screen, hitting .379. This is the first time all year that Shoemaker is swinging under .400 this year. And that's the right fielder, Lair Boutte.
Having some technical difficulties?
Yes. Had to get a new device for her wrist. The 2-1. Check. Did she go? She did. 2-2. Miley Wacheño, too, is a freshman. Third in the SEC in strikeouts. That's 11th also in the nation with 159 this year. Most strikeouts by a Rebel in a single season since 2019. Fifth most in a single season, too. We saw her dominate UT Martin earlier this week. She was tough. 8 strikeouts in 4 innings. And Ole Miss's bounce-back win against the Skyhawks earlier this week. Florida just blew the doors off of Stetson earlier this week, too, on Wednesday. The Gators scored 13 runs. And Wacheño has to step off.
Well, I think both teams might have been a little angry after the weekend.
Yeah.
Getting the series taken from them.
Runner goes, fly ball out to left center. And the shortstop, Ryan Starr, makes the catch for Ole Miss, and one away for Florida in this first inning. Falby's back to first, and speaking of, you mentioned the grand slams last weekend. Of Corby Otis steps in from Littleton, Colorado. Hit that walk-off grand slam against Arkansas in Game 2. At 2 outs, bases loaded, 0-1 count. She crushed one the other way to give Florida the win and to even the series up 1-1 at the time. But Arkansas took Game 3, the series finale, 9-5. There's Otis's numbers this season. .336 hitter, 38 hits. Lines one into right. This should be easy for Boutte. She makes the catch. Name of the game, sometimes Missy. She put a good barrel on it, but just right at the right fielder.
Yeah, absolutely. And eventually those are going to start falling. Ole Miss hopes it's not against them.
Key for Jamie Traxel today, too, she told us, limit the crooked numbers for a Florida offense that's just lights out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw that last weekend. If you had the opportunity to watch the Arkansas-Florida series, there were a lot of runs scored.
Runner goes. Falby's in there safely. Pitch was a wee bit off the mark for Wachenio. That didn't necessarily help Lexi Brady behind the plate. Kendra Falby's 33rd stolen base this year. Wow, she's only been caught twice. She's second in the SEC in stolen bags, 9th in the country. Jocelyn Erickson. The count's 2-0. .333 hitter, again, another OPS that's just mind-blowing.
Off the charts.
11 homers this year, 240 RBIs in her 3rd season of college softball. Skips away from Brady, and Falby's on the move. Even just the littlest mistakes, Missy, the Gators are going to take advantage of, and that's a perfect example there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's no question. They're going to put pressure on this Ole Miss defense, and, they're going to have to bring their A game.
Scored a wild pitch. Now it's a 4-pitch walk for Erickson. Runners on the corners now for the Gators. What are you seeing from Wachenio early?
Well, she's getting behind the Florida hitters, so that's going to give them an advantage, obviously, at the plate. And here you see head coach Jamie Traxel come out and talk to her defense, maybe about a 1st and 3rd play. But Wachenio's getting behind.
Yeah, 5 batters faced, 3 first pitch strikes. Not the recipe for early success.
No, not at all. And that's been the key for her success out in the circle so far this season, is she gets ahead of the hitters, and then she's able to come back with either her rise ball or change up, and that's what's led to all those strikeouts that she's had this year.
And again, she's a freshman pitching in the SEC. Her ERA against conference opponents is an even 5. Against non-conference opponents, it's way lower. Her ERA against the non-con is 1.30. Welcome to the SEC.
That's right.
Reagan Walsh at the plate. 12 homers this year. And Wachenio misses on the first pitch.
And Ole Miss really has to be smart here with Falby at 3rd base and the potential steal of Jocelyn Erickson.
Oh, inadvertent foul tip. Those are always a bummer, right? When you check swing, it's in on your hands and you accidentally hit it like that.
Yeah. I don't know too many hitters that like those kind of oopsies.
Walsh is in her 4th season at Florida. This is game number 240 for her in her career. Wow. Pops up, left side, curling into foul territory, and De Leon makes the catch, and Wachenio escapes inside the circle for Florida in her 2nd season with the Gators, coming off a ridiculous freshman season. It's been a rocky road for her. She's been going through and trying to come back from injury. She missed 5 weeks earlier this season, Missy, but healthy enough to get the start today, and she's got great stuff.
Yeah, she sure does. You're going to see her throw in the mid to upper 60s. She's got excellent velocity, rise, drop, curve, change. She's able to mix speeds. I know Florida is looking for her to get back on track. She had a little bit of a rough outing Sunday against Arkansas.
Yeah, since she's come back from injury, she's been she's been spotty, to say the least. And this is the offense she'll face for Ole Miss, including Jaden Pone. We talked about Lexi Brady earlier, but Pone's been spectacular. Multiple hits in 4 straight games for Jaden Pone. Now hitting .385 coming into today. Of course, she's at the leadoff spot with how hot she's been for the Rebels.
Yeah, she got the leadoff role last weekend against South Carolina and just held on to it, and has just been doing a tremendous job in that leadoff spot.
Oh, hits her helmet to start. And she seems okay. I'm sure Jamie Traxel will check on her. She goes down to first base. Not the way you want to start if you're Rothrock.
Yeah, right in the ear, it looked like. That is not feeling very good. And if you're Rothrock, that is not the way you want to start for Florida.
It's the 7th hit batter this season for the reigning SEC Freshman of the Year. She was an NFCA All-American third-teamer as well last year. Rothrock was a beast. 2.59 ERA in 45 starts and over 260 innings pitched. And now she faces Lair Boutte in her first season at Ole Miss. No stranger, though, to the SEC. Began her career at Tennessee. Spent last year at Houston. And Boutte hitting .414. Highest average on Ole Miss this season. And her OPS, too, is in another universe. We mentioned Rothrock coming back from injury a few weeks ago against Auburn. She threw 4 2/3 innings and struck out 7. But since she's been back, 6 innings of work against Florida State, allowed 4 runs, 3 of them were earned at 5 hits. And then against Arkansas in game 2, 4 innings of work, 6 runs, 5 earned, and a homer allowed 2 against the Hogs. And she walks Lair Boutte. Back-to-back free passes from Rothrock. And now Ole Miss has runners on first and second base, Missy, with their most dangerous hitter at the plate in Lexi Brady.
Yeah, and Lexi Brady moving up in this offensive lineup for Ole Miss. She has been hitting in the 5 spot. Head coach Jamie Traxel, with how hot she's been hitting, Lexi Brady moves up to the number 3 hole.
Ole Miss's leader in slugging percentage, homers, RBIs, total bases, hit by pitches. And again, 14 home runs, tied for second most in a single season at Ole Miss. And one away from tying the most in a single season, too. She tied Lauren Grill earlier this week with her second career multi-home run game, and she's one behind Dee Dee Justice, who had 15 back in 03. On the ground to third, through the wickets of Cahalan, down the line. Jaden Pone slides in at home safely, and Lexi Brady's giving Ole Miss the lead.
Well, just a mistake by Cahalan at third base, letting the ball go right through the wickets, allowing the speedy Jaden Pone to come all the way around to score from second base. Lair Boutte with the heads-up play to move over to third, and Lexi Brady moves up to second on the throw home, or throw to shortstop.
Doesn't get any easier as Percy Yamas steps up, the freshman, who plays a lot older than she really is. Takes a first pitch strike, hitting .369 this season, over 40 hits in her first season as an Ole Miss Rebel. Just burst onto the scene in Oxford. Takes 2 quick strikes. That's what you want to see from Keithan Rothrock here.
Yeah, you want her to strike back after that mistake by her third baseman, Cahalan. You want to see her fight back and try and take care of Percy Yamas.
Yamas fouls it off. Infield playing in, too, for Florida. In a series that's been heavily favored by the Gators. Florida's 54-12 all-time against Ole Miss. 8 of Ole Miss's 12 wins against Florida are here in Oxford. Yamas rips it into right, base hit. Boutte is in. Lexi Brady stops at third. 2-0 Ole Miss in the first.
Oh, what a great job by Percy Yamas. She gets a changeup from Rothrock and just pulls it into the 3-4 hole, allowing Lair Boutte to score from third base. Lexi Brady moves up to third.
And again, we mentioned Keegan Rothrock's struggles since she's come back from injury. And Ole Miss doing honestly what we've seen them do, Missy, in SEC play, get off to early starts, and when they have early success, it tends to go in their favor.
Absolutely, and here you need to take advantage of every opportunity, especially when you're playing such a talented program as Florida. You know, mistake in the first inning, an error at third base, scores 1 run, allows runners to improve their standing and scoring position. I mean, Ole Miss is taking care of business right now. Florida needs to step up.
Aaliyah Binford at the plate after the circle visit by Stephanie Van Brakel-Protho. And Binford in her first season at Ole Miss, Baylor transfer. D1 softball's comeback player of the year last year. And she wanted that one down 0-2. Erickson hung on. That would have been strike 3.
Absolutely.
Another note, Florida this year is 4-7 when their opponents score first in games. Binford just reaches for it, and it snakes through into right. Brady is in. There are no outs in this first inning, and Ole Miss is up on top 3-0.
Well, and it looked like another changeup offering from Rothrock. And Binford just reaches out and pokes that ball out to right field for the second single in a row.
Another freshman in Ole Miss's lineup, Mackenzie Pickens at the plate. Again, nobody out for Ole Miss in this first inning. They've gotten to Keegan Rothrock, and Pickens fouls it off. So those back-to-back singles that you just mentioned, Missy, were on 0-2 counts.
Yeah, and that's got to be so frustrating. I know it was for me as a head coach, that you get a hitter down in the count and you have room to work. And right now, that pitch was way off the plate.
Pickens, lift off, left field. It's got a chance. It's caught. Otis makes the catch. The freshman nearly left the yard and broke it open here in the first inning.
Absolutely. Mackenzie Pickens tagged that ball just a little bit too high, but what a great effort by Corby Otis to stay with that ball and make the catch. I mean, right at the wall.
Angelina De Leon takes strike 1. What's the mentality of Keegan Rothrock here? You know, things haven't gone your way to start this ball game.
Well, you just want to get outs. You want to focus on trying to get outs. And, she has to do a better job in that 0-2 count. And what I was getting ready to say before Mackenzie Pickens hit that ball to the wall was that Aaliyah Binford, that wasn't a bad pitch by Rothrock. It was well off the plate, but just the changeup was, I think, a little bit too slow, and it's not giving that effective, I got to wait. So Ole Miss is doing a great job of being patient at the plate and hitting Rothrock's changeup.
Another one on the ground and into right. Everyone moves up a base. Base is now loaded for Ole Miss. Only one away in the home half of the first inning.
And that's just a great job of hitting by Angelina De Leon. And if you look at it, all of the hits that Ole Miss has gotten have been to right field. So they're doing an excellent job of situational hitting, allowing the runners to advance and score and get into scoring position.
So what's your adjustment if you're Florida? Because you've seen now 3 hits go that way to the right. What's your adjustment?
I mean, I'm either shifting the defense, second base, over in closer to the 3-4 hole, or we got to try and do something different as far as maybe going inside a little bit more to try and jam the Ole Miss hitters.
This is interesting. Rothrock has no earned runs, even though Ole Miss has scored 3. Hit by pitch, a walk, and also an error on Cahalan at third. Since then, Ole Miss has had 3 hits, and they've scored these 3 runs. So let's see, as Florida plays in, if they make any adjustments defensively on Ryan Starr. She's going to go for the bunt, or the squeeze, rather.
Right. I was going to say, that's a squeeze play. But Florida is playing in because you have to try and get the out at home. They're already down 3 runs. They don't want to give up any more runs to Ole Miss. So they got to try and get the out at home.
And Starr couldn't lay that one down either. So now she's down 0-2. She has to swing away here.
She does.
Or I guess she doesn't have to.
She doesn't have to, but I mean, usually when you have 2 strikes, you don't want to give a free out by trying to bunt and not be successful.
Ryan Starr's average is only 111 this year. She has 2 hits, Missy. And a big moment for her.
Well, and if you look at Florida's defense, Walsh has moved more so over into the hole than playing closer to the line.
There are.
I think Florida wanted that pitch.
Yeah, I was going to say there are a handful of Gators fans here, and you could hear the moan. Starr with the one hopper to second base. Williams goes to first.
Oh, she caught it in the air. It was a line drive, so they doubled up. It was a line drive by Ryan Starr to second baseman Mia Williams, and then they were able to get.
And we'll go to break.
Angelina De Leon at first.
Jersey Mike's meets Mike's Extra Hot Honey on the new Mike's Hot Honey Chicken Cheesesteak. Jersey Mike's Freshly Grilled Cheesesteak, Mike's Honey. Jersey Mike's Pepperoni and Melted Cheese, Mike's Honey. Mike's. Dale, the new Mike's Hot Honey Chicken Cheesesteak for a limited time only at Jersey Mike's.
Vamos pelotón, todo se supera.
Mantén forma, mantén la técnica. Listo, comienza.
Vamos. Somos fuertes, somos capaces. Respira, bien hecho. Adelante, baby.
L is for the V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone.
So Ole Miss challenged this during the break. They challenged whether the catch was made by Williams, the second baseman, or not. So our officials are taking a look at this, and right now we're awaiting the call. It's Ole Miss in the first inning got a hit by pitch, a walk, an error, and had 3 singles that scored 3 runs. It looks like we have a call.
After further review, the call on the field of the catch is upheld.
Okay, call stays the same, so we will go back to break. As we go to the second inning, Ole Miss is on top of Florida 3-0.
I think you just need to find the zone and be able to work ahead, which she struggled with in the first inning. And so, you know, she's got a little bit of a lead here, but you don't want to get too overly aggressive because this is kind of what happened in that game with Arkansas last weekend. They got down, and Florida had to come back. So, you know, you don't want to take anything for granted. You want to keep to the game plan, but start working ahead of the Florida hitters.
Williams is having a stellar season, too, as a sophomore. She pulls this to deep left field. The Gators are on the board. 14th on the year for Williams.
Well, that didn't take long to leave the park. That was a rocket by Williams. Oh, Wachenio gets behind with the first pitch ball. This pitch on the inside part of the plate. Williams does a great job of keeping her hands inside, and that ball's gone by a mile over the left field fence.
Yeah, there was no doubt about Williams' 20th homer in her career. What a way to extend your hit streak. Williams now has four-game hit streak going now. Kenley Cahalan now at the plate. She can swing it too. 40 hits this year, 9 homers, 39 RBIs in a Gators offense. Again, that's their 72nd homer this year. First in the SEC, third in the country.
Yeah, just amazing what they've been able to do at the plate this year.
On the ground to first, Percy Yamas takes care of Cahalan for out number 1.
You just can't relax if you're Ole Miss. You just have to keep your foot on the pedal and keep to the game plan. Work ahead, try and get the Florida hitters to swing at your pitches, and that's what's going to make Wachenio successful today.
A message from Tim Walton in his 20th season at Florida. He wanted his Gators to take a deep dive and just remember who they were after last weekend in a series loss against Arkansas. Sometimes, Missy, even during the season, you have to take a step back, look in the mirror, and remember who you were at the beginning of the year.
Well, absolutely, and there's so much tradition at Florida and so much success. And this is a very, very talented Florida team. I think a couple of times this season they've been ranked in the number 1 slot or number 2 slot, and so there is a lot of success, and they have to remember that. Sometimes you need a couple of losses to get that wake-up call and get yourself back on track.
Yeah, they were number 2 in the country last week until they lost that 3-game series to Arkansas. They slipped from 2nd to 8th. This is Ava Brown at the plate.
Well, Arkansas is definitely not the same team that we saw this year here at Ole Miss. They are firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, Arkansas now back up to 10th in the top 25. ESPN.com top 25, that is. Texas takes over the number 1 spot. And Brown fouls it off, 2-2. Well, you're right. Talk about tradition for Florida and Tim Walton and what he's done with the Gators softball program. Made the Women's College World Series in 5 of the last 7 seasons. It's since 2017 and excluding the canceled 2020 season. The team that had 54 wins last year. You don't get 50-something wins by just being lucky. This is a good team, good program with great coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, they added Stephanie Van Brakel-Prothro to the staff, and she's been able to work with the pitchers, and that helps as well. So there's a lot of experience on that staff, and you know, it's just it breeds success. Tim Walton was successful as a pitcher at Oklahoma, and that's where he started out his career, and he's just done good everywhere he's been. So
he has 1,138 wins in his career, 1,015 of those at Florida. And NFCA Hall of Fame class of 2024 this past December, too. Check swing, did she go? No, she didn't. Carlos Guzman makes the call. Ava Brown takes first base. Second walk today for Wachenio. Now her 50th on the season.
Yeah, she did a good job of holding, not breaking the plane. But, you know, Florida's not a tough place to recruit to either.
Well, you make a couple of Women's College World Series appearances, and sometimes one phone call is all you need.
That's right. That's right. They've always had we talk about tradition, but they've always had a good recruiting class and been very successful over the years.
Riley Holtorf at the plate, hitting 9th in this Florida lineup. Takes up an in 1-1. She was at Washington the previous 3 years. Peoria, Arizona native. It's her 4th season, though, of college softball. Went to the Women's College World Series back in 22 with UW. And she fouls it off behind home plate. Her tie to Florida, her and Jocelyn Erickson grew up together. Played on the same travel ball team when they were 9 and 10 years old. Played at Sandra Day O'Connor High School together. Won a state title together. And of course, Erickson gave Riley Holtorf a call when Holtorf hit the portal. Felt like old times.
Right.
When Jocelyn Erickson was given Riley the tour of Gainesville. They kind of had dreams of playing together at this level. Yanks that one into the parking lot. But Holtorf hitting .250 against the SEC this season. She's 8 for 31 at the plate. It is an adjustment in your first year in this conference. On the ground, and Ryan Starr couldn't glove it, but she kept it in front. Florida has 2 on. Holtorf's 29th hit this year. Now we're back to the top of the order. And Kendra Falby, again hitting .449, over 60 hits this season. With her single back in the first inning, Missy, she's now up to 46 straight games where she's been on base.
That's just insane. Well, that's hard to do. But, you know, as I said in the opening, she is just such a catalyst for this Florida lineup. And just does a tremendous job, and she sets the tone. And here she's coming up.
She smacks this into center. It gets all the way to the wall. Brown is coming in to score right behind her. Holtorf. Falby's into third. Bases clearing, triple. And we're tied up at 3.
That was just a tremendous job of hitting by Falby. The outfield is shift over. There's such a huge gap in right center field. Falby smacks that ball out there, and then you just watch her run. I mean, stands up with a triple. There's so much speed. That's a great job of hitting.
Falby's 11th career triple, 2nd this year. She had 4 triples a year ago. That was a career high. And now Nancy Evans out to the circle to have a chat with her freshman that had a 3-0 lead entering this inning, right? And now Florida's bounced back.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about it at the start of this inning that, you know, you had to be careful. You wanted to be aggressive, but you had to be careful because of this potent offense from Florida. And we see it here, coming back, scoring 3 runs so far with 1 out in the top of the 2nd.
This is an offense in Florida that's first in the SEC in homers, 2nd in the conference in hits, 2nd as well in RBIs and runs scored, also stolen bases. I can go on and on and on, but this is just a veteran lineup up and down. They just get the job done.
Yeah, and you know, they're probably ticked, right? Because they want to step up and show what they've got and what they're made of. And
gobbled up by the second baseman Pickens, and she retires Shoemaker for out number 2 for Florida.
And even that ball was hard hit. Pickens had to do a really good job.
She's even laughing, saying that one kind of stung my hand.
I would say, yeah, it was hard hit.
Corby Otis lined out to right her first time up. A unanimous first-team All-American last year by NFCA Softball America and also D1 Softball. She can give Florida their first lead tonight with Falby on third base. Ole Miss got 2 free passes back in the bottom half of the first, then an error on the third baseman Cahalan. 3 singles after that. That gave the Rebels a 3-0 lead, and now Otis down to her last strike here in the second. Swinging .297 against the conference this season. Does have 11 RBIs in SEC play, 11 of her 31 this year.
Well, and this is what you want to see out of Huachenio after that hit from Falby, is to come back and fight through the issues of this inning and the hits that she's given up to Florida. Get ahead in the count and then work the zone.
A bloop down the right field line, but hooking foul. Otis, too, has come into today in a 4-game hit streak and hits in 6 of her last 7 games.
Well, nothing bigger than that grand slam walk-off that she had against Arkansas.
Serves it back up the middle. Florida takes its first lead tonight. Down 3-0 entering the second inning. They've bounced back to put up a 4 spot here in the second.
Well, she just takes that pitch, which was an off-speed pitch from Miley Huachenio, sits back on it, and just drives it right back up the middle for a single.
Now 12 RBIs in SEC play for Otis, and that brings up Jocelyn Erickson. The reigning NFCA Division I Player of the Year, second Gator to ever win NFCA Player of the Year honors. Of course, when you take that award, you're a unanimous All-American first-teamer. Just comes with the trophy. Walked her first time up. Go ahead.
And the crazy thing is she's just a junior. I mean, so talented.
Yeah, she was Player of the Year last year in her first year at Florida, began her career at Oklahoma. Won a national title with the Sooners and then transferred. She just thought there was more for herself out there.
Well, she found it.
She did. However, Oklahoma ended Florida's season last year. Still a favorable count for Erickson, 3-1.
Yeah, she was taking all the way, had a 3-0 count. Huachenio comes in with that changeup.
Ball 4. 2 walks now today for Erickson. Third walk today for Huachenio inside the circle. And now Reagan Walsh comes up.
Well, that's Jocelyn Erickson's second walk of the game.
Whatever gets you on base.
Hey.
Remember, Huachenio had 10 walks last Friday against South Carolina. Ole Miss lost that series. And if you're Keegan Rothrock, Missy, as she faces Taylor Malvin, the 9-spot hitter for Ole Miss, brand new ball game for her inside the circle.
Oh, absolutely. And now you have a 1-run lead. Oh, you go in in between innings and figure out what's going on. Talk to your pitching coach and come back out and refocus. Start hitting your spots, getting ahead of these hitters, and this is what she's done so far with Malvin.
Malvin, too, she's producing more than she ever has at Ole Miss. Hitting 277 this year, that's a career best. Framed by Erickson, but Rothrock doesn't get the strike 3 call.
I think both pitchers have had issues with our home plate umpire, William Lopez.
Malvin bounces it deep into the left side hole for a base hit. The Rebels' 4th hit tonight. And now Jaden Pone in the top of the order come up for the Rebels. That's Malvin's game, though, too, Missy, as a slapper. Right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we've seen her lead off for Ole Miss for a majority of this season until last weekend against South Carolina, where Jaden Pone's taken up that role. And primarily in talking to Coach Traxel, the reason that Jaden Pone took over that role is because we're seeing her hit for a lot more power this year.
Yeah, Pone really worked on that in the offseason, trying to get away from slapping to add more power to her swing. She said it was a tough fall because she was learning how to add more power to her mechanics.
Yeah, but it just makes her more versatile and gives Ole Miss so many more options. She can still lay down the bunt. She can still slap. But we've seen her hit her first home run here this year, and she's got 16 RBIs. So there's a reason that she's so versatile, and she's worked hard at the craft, and it's showing.
Trying to sneak down a bunt. Now 2-2. Pone began her career at Longwood. Was named Big South Player of the Year back in 2023 and Conference Freshman of the Year in 2022. Then decided, hey, I want to go give the Power 4 a try.
That just sounds so weird to me.
Power 4?
Yep.
Well, yeah. You are a Pac-12 alumna,
Yes,
so I
yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Times are a-changing,
Yes,
Missy.
they are.
Full count pitch, a bouncer to short. Weird hop to Holtorf. She plays it and throws out Pone. That was maybe a double play ball the entire way, but that last hop was a bit wicked.
Well, I think that what made it wicked for your view is the fact that she was going over to take the throw for a steal because Malvin was stealing second base and had to come back for the ball to be able to get Pone at first base.
Claire Boutte walked her first time up and scored. That was back in the first inning when Ole Miss scored 3 runs off 3 hits and a Florida error. And the Gators retook the lead in the top half of the second thanks to a solo home run. 3 more hits after that. Boutte has 13 hits in conference play this season. That's the second most for Ole Miss. As Rothrock misses outside. And Boutte fouls it off to the left side. This is a series that's just been dominated by Florida. Florida is 54-12 all time against Ole Miss. And Boutte off the end of the bat, and it lands foul. Ole Miss's last win against Florida was back in 2023. Its last series win against the Gators was in 2019 here in Oxford. And the Rebels have just had more success against Florida at home than in Gatesville. 8 of Ole Miss's 12 wins in this series are here at Ole Miss. Dates back to 1998, and again, in Oxford, Florida leads the series 25-7.
Well, I'm not going to lie. It's playing at Florida is a tough place.
Boutte may or may not have beaten out the throw, but it didn't matter because Walsh dropped it. Malvin advances to third, and now Ole Miss has runners on the corners with one away in the second.
Well, Riley Holtorf, I think, should have charged that ball to be able to make the play, but she sat back on it, and that allowed Boutte to get to first base.
That brings up Lexi Brady. Scored the first run of the ball game back in the first. She bounced one to third. It went through the legs of Cahalan. And that brought in one run for Ole Miss to begin their offensive night last inning.
Well, if you look at the Florida defense, you have Holtorf kind of in the 5-6 hole, and then you have Williams playing right back up the middle, just steps away from second base.
Why do you think that is?
I think they're expecting Lexi Brady to pull the ball, but they also might be working the inside part of the plate on Lexi Brady as well. But nope, they went outside, so they're expecting her to pull. And we've seen Lexi Brady this year spray the ball, even though the majority have been over the left field fence.
Strike, 3 call, got her looking. Keegan Rothrock's first strikeout tonight. 55th for her on the season.
Well, that's a big strikeout for Rothrock. Pitches on the inside part of the plate. Does a great job of setting her up by going out first and then coming back inside.
Ole Miss down one with the tying run on third base right now, 2 away. And Jaden Pone, all right, beg your pardon, Percy Yamas takes ball 1. RBI single for the freshman back in the first inning. Hits one hard, one hopper to Holtorf, flips to second, and it's dropped by Williams. Ole Miss ties the game. Another miscue by Florida's defense.
Absolutely. Holtorf does a great job of knocking this ball down, but she tries to flip it with her glove to Mia Williams at second base for the force. Just can't get there, and then Mia Williams just couldn't pick it up. But it was a great job. Just couldn't get her good grip on that ball.
That's a tough glove flip, too, by Holtorf.
Oh, yeah.
1-2 that I'm sure she probably makes 85 to 90% of the time that the veteran shortstop, as Binford, fouls it off.
Well, I think that she didn't feel like she could have gotten the ball out of her glove with her hand quick enough, so all out of the glove flip, but just didn't get it up high enough to be able to make it to Williams.
Percy Yamas, they give her the single and the RBI. So now Yamas has 13 multi-hit games her freshman year and 10 multi-RBI games. Binford had an RBI single her first time up, and she skies this out to left. And Otis camps under it, makes the catch. Ole Miss ties this game up at 4 on a couple Florida defensive miscues. Talked about Florida having over 70 home runs coming into tonight. That leads the SEC. It's third in the country. And when you homer that much, Missy, of course, it's going to be a focal point in your offense. As you see, home runs have accounted for 40% of the Gators scoring this season. That's something.
That's insane. I mean, you know, you hope to get gap-to-gap hitters, but when you add home run hitters in there as well, that's saying something. Just such a talented offense for Florida.
Maya Williams, who started the scoring last inning for Florida. Speaking of home runs, she homered in her last at bat.
Yes. a very long home run.
Majestic
Majestic?
home run.
Okay.
Now hit in her last 4 games.
Late. Smokes it out to left field. All right, Majestic.
Thank you. She may have another! Unloads! Florida leads!
She definitely has Miley Huacheño's number. That ball was up in the zone, and she kept her hands up and just drove that ball further than the last home run. So what's your new term for that one? Majestic?
Speechless!
Wow, what a great job of hitting by Williams.
15 homers for her now this season. And the number 8 Gators back on top in the 3rd inning. And Cahalan steps up for her 2nd at bat today.
Cahalan grounded out to Percy Yamas at first base last time at bat.
Back to Williams. This is her first multi-home run game this year in her career.
Wow. Well, she's definitely seeing the ball well tonight.
We knew this would just be a night where these two teams were just going to throw punches at each other.
Absolutely.
It's only the 3rd inning.
Ole Miss won the 1st inning. Florida won the 2nd inning. Now Florida throws the first punch in the 3rd inning.
Just didn't know if it was going to be a battle between pitchers or a battle between offenses.
I kind of had a feeling it wasn't going to be a battle between pitchers just because of what we've seen over the past couple of weekends. But at least for Florida and the offensive production and the home runs and just their lineup is just insane. And so you really have to be on point if you're going to pitch against Florida. And you can say the same thing about Ole Miss's offense. They struggled at South Carolina, but they came back and fixed whatever was broke Tuesday against UT Martin, and those are the kind of games that you want to work on things, and they did, just like Florida did it with Stetson. When did they play? Thursday? Wednesday?
Ava Brown at the plate walked her first time up back in the 2nd. Two-way player also pitches for the Gators.
Nào.
Brown is ahead in the count, 2-1.
And that's already 4 walks for Huacheño with the walk to Cahalan. And this is only the 3rd inning. And here she falls behind to Brown.
Yeah, back-to-back 3-1 counts for Huacheño in this 3rd inning. And Brown gets a hold of this. Dead center. Malvin's there. She makes the catch. Some heart rates here in Oxford just spiked.
Yeah, just gets underneath the ball just a little bit, or I think that's gone too. But great job out in center field by Taylor Malvin to bring that one back.
As Miley Huacheño gets a visit from her head coach Jamie Traxel in year 5 at Ole Miss. One thing too about Miley Huacheño right now, Missy, she's a strikeout pitcher, right? She's yet to have a strikeout tonight.
Yeah, and I think that you're seeing that because she's falling behind in the counts. We saw Cahalan with a 3-1 count end up getting the walk. We saw Brown with a 3-1 count, and she knocks that out to deep center field. And so, when you get behind hitters, then they have the advantage. And it's something that we've seen rarely from Huacheño this season.
Jamie Traxel said of these Florida Gators, limit the crooked numbers, limit the free passes. So far, Florida has 1 crooked number. Back in the second, they scored 4, and Miley Huacheño's walked 4.
That's right.
Holtorf singled her last time up for her 29th hit of the season. Average now up to 341 this year. And she's hitting 9th in this Gators lineup. I'm not sure how many 9-spot hitters this season around the country are hitting over 340. And again, like you said, she gets behind in the count. Huacheño is behind 2-0.
Yeah, and typically on Fridays when we've seen Huacheño, she's just been so solid out in the circle and doing a really good job of working the zone. This is very uncharacteristic of a Friday outing for her.
Yeah, to build off that, Huacheño's ERA on Friday nights in the SEC is 2.52, 25 innings. She struck out 24, walked 16, but 10 of those were last Friday at South Carolina, so a little skewed there.
Yeah, and the game against South Carolina last Friday, it was a 1-0 game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really, really good game. And so even though she had that many walks, it didn't come back to hurt her in the grand scheme of things.
She walks Holtorf. Runners on first and second base for the Gators. They've retaken the lead thanks to the solo home run by Williams. Her second of the night, her first multi-career home run game. And Jamie Traxel is going to make a pitching change here for Ole Miss. So Miley Huacheño is going to get pulled for Ole Miss with runners on first and second base. And we'll step aside and tell you who's coming in for Huacheño when we come back in Oxford. Florida's on top 5-4.
You need at prices you love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love.
Does a rising tide really lift all boats? Well, rising tides can do a lot of things. So when the waves around the world start to ripple out, pay attention. Don't just assume you'll know what the waters will bring. The same tide that can unjam a 224,000-ton megaship that's jackknifed in the Suez Canal.
Absolutely tremendous. She can do it all from the left side.
Now Taylor Shoemaker's at the plate. 0 for 2 today. This is also a Florida Gators team that has, 3 Grand Slams in the last 2 weeks?
A lot. That's pretty impressive. Just shows that they get on base and they make things happen.
One and two to the freshman, whose 58 RBIs this year are third most by a freshman in Gator history. She's 1 RBI away from tying second most. Strike 3 call. Lopez rings her up. First strikeout for the Gators offensively tonight.
Yeah, it was a great job. She set her up with her changeup, and then it looked like she came in with that curveball and got Shoemaker looking.
Shoemaker's 16th strikeout this year. Gives way to Corby Otis. He does have an RBI single today. Hit a grand slam last weekend in walk-off fashion against the Razorbacks. Now on a 5-game hit streak after her RBI single back in the second. Got a piece of it, 1-1.
Well, there's that changeup of Brianna Lopez. It's so good, so good. I've really enjoyed watching it over the last 2 years here at Ole Miss.
What makes it good? Speed or the movement?
A little bit of everything, and not to mention that she's got 2 different speeds for that changeup. So, you know, where you think you're getting in the normal, then she throws in a different speed and just buckles the knees.
And then she zips it in there at 63, right?
Right.
Lopez had 33 appearances for Ole Miss last season in her first year as a Rebel. 6 starts, 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Here she gets behind, but there's that changeup again and brings the count 3-2.
Bases are loaded. Florida regained the lead. And Maya Williams' solo home run to begin this third. Back up the middle. Base hit. 1 run is in. Here comes a second. It's cut off. 2 more in for Florida here in the third. 7-4 Gators.
Yeah, just a great job. She takes a pitch that's on the outside part of the plate, drives it right back up in the middle, and allows both runners for Florida to score. Florida's up now 7-4 in the top of the third.
A 3 RBI night for Otis. She now has 34 ribbies this year. And Jocelyn Erickson looks at strike 1. She's walked twice today. .333 hitter, double-figure home runs, 2. Oh, and 2 to the reigning NFCA Division I Player of the Year. Bri Lopez trying to get this final out. Another big inning for Florida with 3 runs across. Hack and miss. And Brady throws down to first base to complete the finish of. But been shaky since, allowed 1 run in the second. I want to know what your thoughts are of her game so far tonight.
Well, I mean, we saw her make the adjustment after the first inning and really did a good job only allowing 1 run in the second. So, I had a pitcher when I was at Corpus Christi who got better as the game went on, and I'm sure that, Florida's hoping the same from Rothrock.
Angelina De Leon down 0-2 and fouls off the third pitch. And again, Rothrock missed some time this season, suffered an injury against Duke way back in February, and she tried to pitch through it, but Coach Walton actually benched her put her on the shelf just for a little bit to get healthy again.
Well, yeah, because you're going to need her more towards the end of the season than you are right at the beginning.
A beautiful pitch on the inside edge for Rothrock's second K tonight.
Yeah, just a great pitch on the inside part. I think Angelina De Leon thought that was high, but home plate umpire William Lopez ringing her up.
Big cut for Ryan Starr. 2 away for Ole Miss in this 3rd inning. They've not gone in order tonight. And Rothrock, too, is reigning SEC Freshman of the Year, NFCA All-American 3rd-teamer as well. Wow, she's been locked in here this inning.
Well, and I think that sometimes, you get that sophomore jinx that affects you with all the cameras and the videos and people getting a little bit better look at you. Freshman last year coming in and setting the tone in the circle right from the start and had a tremendous freshman year, and then struggling a little bit, but it's always tough to come back from an injury.
Sits down Ole Miss in order on the USA Softball Player of the Year watch list. It's cool to have one player on the watch list, right, Missy? But Florida has 5.
That just shows how good they really are. It just shows how strong the SEC is. There's a reason why Florida is top 10, top 5, and playing as well as they are.
And all 5 of those players tonight have made a tremendous impact for the Gators offense that was down 3-0 entering the 2nd inning. They've scored 7 runs since. Now a cool night in Oxford. Gonna need a hoodie in the later parts of this ball game. Reagan Walsh leads things off. She's hitless tonight. 0 for 2. And is down to Bree Lopez, 0-1. Quick call of time from Lopez inside the circle.
Technical difficulties again.
That seems to happen. They didn't have this much technology back when you were coaching, did they?
No. And surely not when I was playing.
You sound so salty.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, it would have been nice. We had a couple of cameras eventually, but yeah.
Hit the other way for a base hit. Reagan Walsh, her first tonight. Boy, these Gators have done nothing but hit. Now 9 hits. This is only the top half of the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the offensive production that you see from Florida. I mean, if you're not hitting your spots as a pitcher, then you're definitely setting yourself up for some trouble.
Maya Williams with 2 homers tonight, her first career multi-home run game. And just 2 at-bats.
There's a reason why Florida has 21 run rule victories this season.
Now she shows bunt in the air. Brady reaches out for it. Out number 1 for Ole Miss.
What a great job by Lexi Brady to come out of her crouch, hopped out, reaches out and dives for that ball. It's a great play.
She made that look so easy.
Yeah, she really did, and it was a great job by Walsh at first base to maintain so she didn't get doubled up.
Kenley Cahalan steps up, ground out, a walk, and a run scored. Ole Miss saw her cousin not too long ago. Her cousin plays for Missouri. Big swing and miss, 1-1. And she has another cousin that plays for Delaware.
Pretty talented family, I'd say.
I was going to say, they're feeding their family tree something. I want to know what it is. 1-2.
I think Florida's trying to figure out, some of the Florida hitters are trying to figure out Brianna Lopez's changeups.
Hack and miss, strike 3. And Cahalan goes down on strikes. Bree Lopez now has 3 strikeouts. Miley Wichenio, who came into tonight starting for Ole Miss, was 3rd in the SEC in strikeouts. Didn't have a strikeout in her outing, but Bri Lopez, since coming in last inning, Missy already has 3.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. She's getting ahead of the Florida hitters and being able to use that change up, mixing speeds with it, working both sides of the plate. That's what it takes.
Ava Brown steps up, nearly left the yard in her last at bat, fly out to center. And fouls it to the first base side. So it's 1-1. I mean, her fly ball out to center field was what, maybe 3 feet away from leaving?
Maybe. Yep, maybe. It was definitely warning track, and Malvin made a great play on it.
One and two.
You know, you come in with a 65-mile-an-hour pitch, and then the next pitch is a 51-mile-an-hour pitch. It's that throws you off a little.
As a hitter, how do you approach a pitcher like Lopez?
I mean, it's tough. It really is. But you just have to be patient. You have to try and look for it and react. You know you're going to see it. You could sit on it. There's a couple of things that you can do. I mean, every Florida player has had a steady diet of Brianna Lopez's changeups. But the difference between her changeups and others is that she can mix speeds with it, as we see right there with the strikeout of Ava Brown.
Lopez's 4th K tonight. She struck out 4 of the 9 batters she has faced. And Ole Miss has a 3-run deficit. See if the Rebels can make some noise offensively when we come back. Finish line. That's not how this race works.
The other girl doesn't look like her legs are long enough. Poor thing.
Jump.
She's trying.
Jump along. It's okay. Florida is on top of Ole Miss 7-4, and here's the sportsmanship. Oh, my heart. Taylor Malvin chops it to Holthorpe, the shortstop, and she has no play. Back-to-back at-bats now for Taylor Malvin, and she's gotten an infield single. She led off the second inning with an infield single and scored. This Ole Miss offense is down 3, Missy, and getting that leadoff runner aboard is huge to start off when you're down 3.
Oh, absolutely, because then you can put pressure on the defense, and Ole Miss needs some runs here.
But I'll tell you what, Keegan Rothrock last inning sat down 2 of 3 Ole Miss hitters looking. I mean, she looked like an All-American last inning.
Yeah, she was really in the zone last inning, and here she evens the count with Jaden Pone. Quick throw over by Jocelyn Erickson, trying to pick off Malvin at first.
Just foul for Jaden Pone. On a 5-game hit streak, 4 of the 5 games are multi-hit games. That's why her average is now 381. She also leads Ole Miss with 7 sack bunts, but with how hot she's been swinging it, I don't think, obviously it's still 1 and 2. We're not seeing her try to bunt over Malvin at all, but
no, they need runs, and so they need to string together some hits. And I'm kind of looking at Florida's defense here, and Cahalan is off the line, giving Jaden Pone a lot of room. There she moves over a little bit. I was going to say, you're giving an awful lot of room to Pone.
That's fair. Malvin hustles into third. She's safe. Pone moves up to second. This was fair by millimeters.
Yeah, but what a great job by Jaden Pone. It's kind of inside-outs that ball. It's on the inside part of the plate and drives it down the line. for a stand-up double. Ole Miss has got something brewing here in the bottom of the board.
Look how close this is.
Oh, yeah.
Keegan Rothrock getting a visit from her infield. 3 innings of work. She's allowed 7 hits, 2 earned runs. 2 of her 3 strikeouts were last inning in the 3rd when she sat down Ole Miss in order. And is this just a conversation between teammates trying to calm down Rothrock, or they could be talking strategy?
Well, they could be. I mean, it's getting into the heart of Ole Miss's lineup right here, and so she's really got to focus on hitting her spots. Last time at bat, Boutte got a single right back up the middle.
Now in 3 of 4 innings, Ole Miss has gotten the leadoff.
Well, we've talked about Florida's offensive production. How about Ole Miss's offensive production? Lair Boutte gets this ball up in the zone and a no-doubter over right field fence.
Lair Boutte's 19th career homer as Brady fouls it off to the right side. 0-1. Here's another home run threat at the plate for Ole Miss. Her 14 homers are tied second most in a single season in Ole Miss history. And it's 1-1.
Well, we've been talking about each team punching each other. Ole Miss is punching Florida back in the bottom of the 4th.
Lined in the right, but right at Shoemaker, who makes the catch, and Brady's now 0 for 3 today. And in Rothrock's last 3 outings, since returning from injury, she's allowed a home run in each of those 3 outings. Yamas, right side, base hit. A 3-hit day for the freshman, along with her 2 RBIs. "13 multi-hit games for Percy Yamas this season, Missy. She's also reached base safely in 34 of the 40 games. And Yamas comes off the field for Taylor Strain to pinch run. Strain, a transfer from Baylor, faced Ole Miss last year down in Louisiana in a NCAA regional. And her former Baylor teammate is at the plate in Aaliyah Binford. Those two very close. And Binford wanted it, fouls it off to the seats. And even though Strain came to Ole Miss first, Aaliyah Binford entered the transfer portal. Strain didn't really recruit Binford hard. She wanted Aaliyah to make her own decisions. Inside jam job. Holtorf throws out Binford. And 13 multi-hit games for Percy Yamas this season, Missy. She's also reached base safely in 34 of the 40 games. And Yamas comes off the field for Taylor Strain to pinch run. Strain, a transfer from Baylor, faced Ole Miss last year down in Louisiana in a NCAA regional. And her former Baylor teammate is at the plate in Aaliyah Binford. Those two very close. And Binford wanted it, fouls it off to the seats. And even though Strain came to Ole Miss first, Aaliyah Binford entered the transfer portal. Strain didn't really recruit Binford hard. She wanted Aaliyah to make her own decisions. Inside jam job. Holtorf throws out Binford. And Strain advances to second base. But I did like that approach from Taylor Strain. Let my good friend make her own decisions if she has any questions about the school I'm at now, because Binford transferred to Ole Miss just as the second semester hit.
Yeah,
after the fall.
I mean, and that's the way it has to be, because it's got to be the right fit.
And Mackenzie Pickens, freshman for Ole Miss, lays off. But then you have other stories, right, where your former teammates calling you up every hour. Hey, what are you thinking? Hey, who's called you?
Right.
Hey.
Well, it has to be the right fit. I mean, you got to be comfortable, and you know, you can want your teammate there and your good friend as much as anything, but ultimately it has to be their decision, and they have to be comfortable.
Ole Miss is looking for its first lead since the first inning when they scored 3 runs.
Did you catch it?
No, that was coming right for us. Mackenzie Pickens, as a freshman, has 4th highest average on this Ole Miss roster. 3rd in hits, 3rd in runs scored, tied for 2nd in homers, too. A lot of power in that 5'5" frame she's got.
Oh, well, she's got a very pretty swing, very quick hands.
Nearly left the yard her first time up to left. Works the walk. 2 on for Ole Miss, 2 away. Angelina De Leon comes up. Why is this 4th inning so much different for Rothrock? We saw her strike out 2 of 3 batters in the 3rd inning. What's different here?
Just putting the ball over the plate and not hitting the zone, hitting, you know, the corners, working the zone.
Just a 2nd walk tonight for Rothrock. De Leon, who struck out looking last inning, is 1 for 2.
Honestly, it's the same thing that got her in trouble in the 1st inning. And so, you know, Ole Miss makes an adjustment. She's got to make an adjustment, and we haven't seen it this inning.
NFCA All-American 3rd-teamer from last year, Rothrock led the nation in wins, appearances, starts, complete games, and innings pitched. De Leon got a piece of that. Strike 2. And Rothrock last year was 3rd in the SEC in strikeouts with 201. That was the 2nd most Ks by a freshman in Florida history.
And that's saying a lot, because there are a lot of talented pitchers that have come through Florida.
Cahalan makes the squeeze. Ole Miss strands 2, but they tie this game off Lair Boutet's 2nd.
Kind of weird, because where I was at, it was sunny.
Brie Lopez back in the circle for Ole Miss. In her 14th appearance out of the bullpen, faces Riley Holtorf, hitting 9th in this Florida lineup. 1 for 1 today with a single, a walk, and 2 runs scored. And Holtorf's not hiding what she's planning on doing. De Leon goes to first. It throws wide. And Holtorf retreats back to first. And a miscue, and a rare run at that, by Angelina De Leon at 3rd.
Yeah, it really was. It's not what we typically see from Angelina De Leon. But here just gets out of the reach of Mackenzie Pickens at first base.
Holtorf is given the single, so now she has 2 hits today. Now she has 10 hits in conference play against SEC opponents. And Kendra Falby's been a hard out today for Ole Miss. She's 3 for 3. Triple, 2 singles, 2 ribbies, and also a run scored. Her triple back in the second tied the game up. 2-run triple. Down the line and foul. She singled off Brie Lopez back in the third. Falby was Lopez's first batter. Now Tim Walton calls time. And wants a full-blown meeting in front of his dugout.
Strategy, strategy, strategy.
It's all about strategy. Again, Coach Walton, 20th season at Florida, 5-time SEC Coach of the Year, won 2 national championships, got to OKC last year, won the SEC tournament as well last year. Florida won 54 games. In 2024, it was their most since 2018 when they won 56. He had a lot of really good things to say about Ole Miss's team this year and what Jamie Traxel's done. And also this brand new stadium.
Who can not say nice things about this new stadium?
The last time Florida was in Oxford was in 2023. Ole Miss did take a game in that series, but their last series win against the Gators was back in 2019, back at home. Well, that was here in Oxford. Runner goes, throw down, gets through into center, and Holtorf is safe at second base. That's Holtorf's 3rd stolen base this season. Another bunt. Lopez goes to first. And Holtorf goes to third base. So we were talking about the brand new stadium for Ole Miss softball. $32 million. This morning was the official ribbon cutting.
Done. Super proud of the project, incredibly grateful to be part of everything, and excited for what's to come.
And Jamie Traxel's thoughts too on this morning and this stadium. Taylor Shoemaker takes a strike. She's 0 for 3 today. So much effort went into today. There was a lot of emotion from Coach Traxel. Got choked up a couple of times during her speech today. So much support, she said, from the community. Hard hit ball to Llamas. She steps on first. Big second out for Ole Miss defensively. Shoemaker roped that one to Llamas. But another tough out coming up, Missy. Corby Otis, who has 3 RBIs today. She's 2 for 3.
Yeah, and not for lack of power either. Corby Otis hit that walk-off grand slam against Arkansas. One of the players that you spoke about earlier that was on the watch list. Just tremendous player for Florida.
She hit .434 last year. Was named a unanimous first-team All-American. If you hit .434 and are left off those lists,
there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Yes.
But a multi-hit night for her and a 3-ribby night too. Leading run for Florida on third. Ole Miss down 3 in the bottom half of the 4th. Got a 3-run homer by Lair Boutte to tie this game up at 7. To Pickens, off for mitt, and Florida's punched back to retake the lead. Four RBIs tonight for Otis.
Well, that's just a great job of hitting by Otis. That's, to me, that's situational hitting, where she's taking that pitch that's really down the middle and driving it to Mackenzie Pickens' left at second base, just out of her reach.
She's just a little bulldog, isn't she?
I'm telling
Otis?
you, she is so talented.
That's Jocelyn Erickson, hitless tonight, but 2 walks and a strikeout. Catches the corner, 1-1. Struck out her last time up. Runner goes. Brady. Her throw's not in time. And Otis is in with her 6th stolen base of the season. And what led to that run, scored this inning, Missy, too. Stolen bases. These Gators are aggressive on the base paths.
That's exactly right. And they're putting pressure on Lexi Brady behind the dish, and they're making it happen, getting runners in scoring position. But now Ole Miss is challenging that the runner left early from first base.
Baptiste, our crew chief today. And this will go to the...
And that's a really tough ball for Lexi Brady to handle. It looks like she left early.
Wow.
Could be a good challenge for Ole Miss. But a tough play for Lexi Brady. The ball is up and out of the zone, and she's having to come up out into the other batter's box to catch that ball and make the throw to second base. Honestly, being able to replay the runners leaving early is a game changer.
So Lyndon Baptiste, he's got his call.
After further review, the call is upheld. Runner did not be run out.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I guess they saw something we didn't.
Now Ole Miss is out of challenges.
They are out of challenges.
Florida has both of theirs. So Otis remains at second base, 2 away here in the 5th. Just misses from Lopez. Favorable 3-1 count to the junior for the Gators. One run already across the inning for Florida. They've retaken the lead 8-7. High scoring affair in Oxford. Pops her up. Everybody crashing in. 2 Rebels calling for it, and it's Starr who makes the catch. Florida strands one, but they...
Guys screw combo. She's got a great changeup, and one of the things that they like about her is just how tight she can spin the ball.
Well, she faces Tenley Grisham in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Grisham's first at-bat today, pinch hitting for Ryan Starr. Grisham hitting .217 this season. She's down 1-2. Starr at the plate, 0 for 2. A line out that led to a double play and then a strikeout looking. This is fair. And Williams flips it to first base. Out number 1. And now Taylor Malvin comes up. She's 2 for 2 today. A career best season for Taylor Malvin. Now up to 28 hits. That's a career most. She played in 28 games her freshman season. She lines this into left. Otis can't make the catch. Fair ball. And a 3-hit night for Taylor Malvin, who just continues to produce tonight in that 9 spot for the Rebels.
That was a great effort by Corby Otis. It looks like it hits off of the heel of her glove. Just can't come up with it, but quickly gets after it, because if she doesn't, Malvin's standing at second base.
Taylor Malvin's tied her career high 3 hits in a game. Jane Pone wanted that one. Malvin earlier this season had 3 hits against Wisconsin. Jane Pone had a single her last time up back in the 4th. Oxley's working quick, isn't she? Not wasting any time.
No, she's doing a great job of coming in and getting ahead of the Ole Miss hitters.
She started twice against Arkansas last weekend, game 1 and game 2. Nearly hits Pone. 6 innings in game 1. She allowed 5 hits, 3 earned runs, walked 4, struck out 2, took the loss, and then in the second game, 4 innings of work, 3 hits allowed, just 1 earned run, although 3 came across, struck out 3. Pone, left field line, just foul. Ole Miss's dugout seems to disagree with William Lopez Pellet behind home plate, who made the call.
Well, unfortunately, Ole Miss is out of challenges. So even if they thought that ball was fair.
But even looking at the in-venue replay, it looked foul.
I thought so too.
Jane Pone gets a hold of this. Deep right, but Shoemaker in front of the warning track makes the catch. And back to first base is Taylor Malvin. That's the one thing when the temperature drops now, Missy, that sun goes away. I think at first pitch the temperature was around 67 degrees. Now it's fallen into the upper 50s. So that ball's not going to travel as well.
No, and it looked like it hung up there. At first I thought it might have a chance, but then it hung up there, and Shoemaker was able to make the catch.
Lair Boutte steps up. She hit one deep into the night her last time up. That had no problem getting out of here. Two and 0. And she got all of it, Missy.
She sure did. This ball was up in the zone. She kept her hands up and just smoked it out to right field fence into the trees.
Takes a strike on the outer half. Tying run on first base, 2 for Ole Miss. One hopper to second base. Williams gets Boutte, and Ole Miss strands 1, still down 1. 7-ball game in Oxford, Florida on top. And Reagan Welsh leads things off. Or Walsh, excuse me, leads things off. She's 1 for 3 today. 306 hitter coming into this at bat. Ole Miss fans wanted that one, 1-1.
Looked like a pretty pitch from up here.
And Brie Lopez calls time. She came in for Miley Wichenio back in the 3rd and has allowed 1 run. off the mark too. She's done a good job, Missy, at limiting the damage. Because Florida was really getting to Miley Wachenio today. They scored 7 runs off the freshman.
Yeah, she really has. I mean, she's given up 1 run, but she's working ahead. Here you see her get behind, but for the most part, she's been working ahead.
Diving catch for Jaden Pone. Robs Walsh of her 2nd hit tonight.
What a great play by Jaden Pone. Lays out for this ball and is able to make the catch to set down Reagan Walsh. We've seen her make several of those kinds of plays this year.
With 2 homers tonight, Williams comes up. She tried to bunt in her last at-bat back in the 4th inning with the runner on first base. She wound up popping out to Lexi Brady, the catcher. Fooled her there with the off-speed.
Well, she definitely had Miley Wachenio's number tonight, but so far, Brianna Lopez has had the upper hand with Williams.
When the run that Lopez allowed back in the 5th inning was the first run she had allowed, earned run rather, she had allowed in nearly 10 innings of work, in her last 10 innings of work. It's her 3rd straight weekend, and she's come out of the bullpen. Last inning in the series loss against South Carolina, she struck out 3 in the finale, walked 1 and allowed 4 hits.
Well, we saw her do that a lot last year, and so it doesn't surprise me that she's the go-to this year.
Foul ball. Not by much. I think that's a 50-50 call right there.
Yeah.
Ooh. Can we see this again? Okay.
Yeah.
Nancy Evans, pitching coach for Ole Miss, comes out to chat with Bri Lopez.
I think third base umpire Lyndon Batiste was on that foul ball.
Nancy Evans, too, in her first season at Ole Miss, 6-time NCAA champion, 3 times as a player at Arizona, 3 as a coach as well. In fact, still holds the NCAA record with a .939 career winning percentage. She was 124-8 overall. That'll be hard to top.
Yeah, she was just a fantastic pitcher at Arizona. Just so talented and brings her knowledge and here to Ole Miss, working with the pitching staff this year, and really has done a great job.
Even Tim Walton, head coach for the Florida Gators, complimented Jamie Traxel, saying she made some waves this offseason with the assistants she brought in. Nancy Evans being one of them. As Lopez misses. So 3-2 to Williams.
Well, there is definitely a lot of talent on that staff for Jamie Traxel. Now you bring in Aaron Earlywine, who is a successful head coach in his own right, and then you have Nancy Evans come in and
hot shot into left and off the base of the wall. Williams is thinking too. The throw in under the tag. She's safe. A 3-hit day for Maya Williams. And Ole Miss 2, they're out of challenges.
That ball was a missile over Jaden Pone's head. And she got in there.
Yep.
I don't think you could hit that ball any harder.
7th double this year for Williams. And now it's Kenley Cahalan. 0 for 2 today, a walk and a run scored back in the 3rd inning. As Florida looks to extend its lead here in the 6th. Flown down to the right side and foul. Lands in front of Boutte. Florida offense tonight that's 5 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Ole Miss is also 5 for 12. With runners on base, both teams have 6 hits. One, 2 is on the ground, foul. We've seen a lot of everything tonight.
Yeah, you think?
Defensive miscues, mistakes,
Yep.
home runs.
Hard hit balls.
Yeah, key situational hitting.
Absolutely. A lot of situational hitting tonight on both teams.
Yeah. This has been one heck of a Friday night in Oxford. And an Ole Miss team that has won just 12 games all time against Florida. Its last series win was in 2019. Gets away from Brady.
Con đầy tiền đấy này, không bắn đâu.
Williams up to 3rd.
Không phải.
Insurance run just 60 feet away.
Con Agribank cơ mà. Agribank cơ mà.
That series win for Ole Miss against Florida back in 2019 was its first series win since 2007. And Cahalan works the walk. Now runners on the corners, just one out. First walk for Lopez since she came in the 3rd inning. Ava Brown steps up. 0 for 2. A walk and a run scored back in the 2nd.
Middle infield for Ole Miss is playing deep to be able to turn 2.
Right down the gut. There they are up the middle. Talented duo. Pickens, the second baseman star, re-entered the shortstop. And Brown skies it to the right side. Near the sidewall, Boutte couldn't get there in time. And she goes down. Our view is blocked too, not sure if maybe one of her hands, she went up to stop her momentum on that sidewall, maybe.
It might have been, but she gave great chase. I mean, can ask for a better effort.
She's one of Ole Miss's key hitters, hitting over 400 this year. She hit the 3-run home run back in the 4th inning to tie the game at 7. Since then, Florida has retaken the lead. And a young woman who played through injury last season at Houston, missed the first 17 games because of off-season surgery to repair those injuries so she could play another year of softball. Since coming back from injury, Lair Boutte has been on a tear. So they have Boutte up on her feet. This is a good sign too. She's up and moving.
I mean, I hate to speculate, but it almost looks like she might have hit her head, maybe.
Our view was blocked when she was pursuing the foul ball. Here's what we got again.
Yeah, you just can't tell from that angle. But good to see her up, moving and walking, and hope she'll be all right.
Again, key contributor for Ole Miss on both ends, offensively and defensively. And we'll see who Jamie Traxel decides to put in right field. And it's Addison Duke coming in. So Duke for Boutte. Addison Duke, a freshman from Arizona, playing in her 27th game this season. And again, Lair Boutte's hitting second in Ole Miss's lineup. So we'll see what Jamie Traxel decides to do on the offensive side of things later on in this game. So Ava Brown with an 0-2 count, and she pops up. De Leon makes the squeeze, out number 2. That brings up Riley Holtorf. 2 hits today, 3 runs scored.
Holtorf had that bunt single her last at bat.
Here comes Jamie Traxel. And again, runners on the corner situation here, Missy. 2 outs. You want to keep this a 1-run lead if you can.
Absolutely.
A run deficit, rather, if you can.
Right. Absolutely, because, you know, she's their number 9 hitter. You definitely don't want Kendra Falby to come back up. But their speed at third base with Williams. So Ole Miss needs to be smart right here.
Ole Miss in the bottom half of the first inning scored 3 runs off 3 hits and a Florida error. The Gators punched back with 4 runs, including a solo home run in the second. Rebels tied the game up at 4 in the second. Florida then went up 3-7 to 4 after 3 runs scored in the third. And Holtorf faked the bunt up to second base. Is Cahalan. So now runners on second and third for Florida here in the 6th. Going outside, 2-0. Holtorf at Washington was a 3-time NFCA All-Pacific Region honoree. In all 3 years of her time at Washington. And she's ahead 3-1.
Well, you definitely don't want to give Holtorf a free pass here.
Fly ball out to right center, and Malvin covers ground to make the catch.
The advantage.
Lexi Brady leads off for Ole Miss. 0 for 3 tonight, reached on an error, has struck out looking. Did have a hard line out though to right field her last time up. Caitlin Oxley back inside the circle for Florida for second inning of work. Yanked foul, 2-2. Brady is Ole Miss's leader in homers, RBIs, total bases. On her way to having a career best year in her last year in Oxford.
Unlike going out with a bang.
She has.
She's been a lot more patient this time at the plate, working the count full against Oxley.
Into right. A lot of room for Shoemaker. Out number 1 in the 6th. And that brings up Percy Yamas. She's been a tough out today for Florida. 3 hits. But this is her first time facing the freshman inside the circle, Oxley. A couple of freshmen that are meeting for the first time. The first of a lot of meetings, I'm sure, between Yamas and Oxley. In fact, Oxley's first outing wasn't until February 22nd this season. She debuted against New Mexico. And Yamas tugs it foul. And a freshman in Oxley that has the lowest ERA against the SEC on this Florida team. In fact, Oxley was a catcher at first growing up when she first started playing softball. But her dad needed a pitcher for his rec league team.
Sounds familiar.
The rest is history. Let's just go with that. Yamas into right. A 4-hit day for Percy Yamas. She's having quite the night against Florida. A career best 4 hits in a single game for the freshman.
Yeah, she does a great job driving this ball into the 3-4 hole. She has had Florida's pitcher's number tonight. And we have a pinch runner for Yamas, Ashton Lansdale.
Lansdale FIU transfer in her first season at Ole Miss. Spent 2 seasons at FIU. And Aaliyah Binford takes strike 1. Had an RBI single back in the first inning, a flyout and ground out since. And Lansdale was on the move. She'll have to go back to first base on the foul ball. Binford leads Ole Miss in doubles. Two-way player for Ole Miss. Second in innings pitched and strikeouts. Tugs it foul. Still 1-2. In her first season in the SEC, she's hitting .300 against the conference. Just 2 for 9 though last weekend against South Carolina. Lansdale was on the move again.
Ole Miss trying to get a runner in scoring position to even out this game.
Lansdale has 3 stolen bases this season. Binford shoots it the other way. Deep right field. Shoemaker leaps to make the catch.
Well, Shoemaker playing deep. Didn't have far to go for this ball, but catches it right at the fence. Barely a leap.
She brought that one back.
She did.
That might have been off the top of the wall and over for Binford.
It might have, but look how deep that they're playing. So they're trying to prevent doubles. So the Florida outfield is playing very deep, almost at the edge of the warning track. Well, center, well, now they are at the edge of the warning track, trying to keep everything in front.
2 outs for Mackenzie Pickens, who's ahead 2-0 on Oxley. And again, a couple of freshmen, one at the plate for Ole Miss, one in the circle for Florida, in a big spot with the tying run on first base. Runner goes, the throw's offline. Lansdale's safe. And Tim Walton wants to review this. I'm assuming to see if Lansdale moved early.
Yep. And we've seen her attempt it now a couple of times. Here, so far, she's successful.
Florida has 2 challenges remaining. Might as well use one.
Absolutely. I mean, Ole Miss only has 4 more outs left in this game, so this allows Ole Miss to have, oh, she left way early.
Wow.
Yeah. She's not even close to releasing the ball. So it's a good challenge by Tim Walton. Although we thought the last challenge was going to be a good one, but for Ole Miss leaving early. But oh, there's so many people in the dugout nowadays that
watch
to
for those
watch
things.
for those things, yeah, and you know, as I said earlier, it's a game changer. It's so hard to, with the talent that these catchers have and the arms that they have, to be able to swipe bases, really.
It's a big call, too.
It is.
With Ole Miss down 1. Waiting on Lyndon Baptiste to
be the 3rd out of the inning.
Lansdale left early. Out number 3. We go to the 7th. Florida up 1. Heading into the top half of the 7th inning, number 8 Florida in our series opener is on top of number 19 Ole Miss. New first baseman for the Rebels, Jamie McKay. Missy because last inning, Percy Yamas, the Rebels had a pinch runner for her, but that was for a second time tonight, so now Ole Miss needs a new first baseman.
Right, so you can re-enter a starting player one time, and in the bottom of the 4th, Ole Miss ran for Percy Yamas with Taylor Strain, and then again last inning in the bottom of the 6th, they ran for her again. So she has used up her time and can no longer re-enter.
Kendra Falby leads things off in this 7th inning. She's 3 for 3 tonight. Bree Lopez still inside the circle for Ole Miss. She's only allowed 1 run since coming in for Miley Wichenio back in the 3rd. Florida's gotten hits off her. They just haven't been able to bring anybody around.
Yeah, she's been very effective against the Florida hitters, just giving up that 1 run.
And back to Yamas. Do you think that was by design to pinch run for her again? Just kind of a risk that they were willing to take?
I think so, just because, these games are so tough, and anytime that you can get a win on a Friday night, especially against a talented number 8 seed or team as Florida, then you want to try and do everything that you can. You play for the moment, and unfortunately it didn't pan out because Lansdale was called out for leaving early, taking Ole Miss out of the inning. I mean, it's a gamble.
Sometimes you need to take a gamble.
Well, like they say, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and unfortunately for Ole Miss, they weren't lucky in that scenario.
Florida has its best hitters to do up this inning. To Ryan Starr, the shortstop, and Falby beats out the throw. That was kind of doomed from the start.
She is just so good. I mean, just places that ball wherever she wants and just, takes something off of it. So it's more of like a slow roller. And Ryan Starr's just too deep to be able to make that play. No fault of her own, because you just, nothing really you can do, but.
Shoemaker at the plate.
Ole Miss shifted Shoemaker to pull. You have Ryan Starr on the other side of second base.
Just foul. Wow. Some Florida fans are down that first base line, and they were in an uproar. Well, she's going to pull it. That was a good place to put it.
Absolutely, because you have Ryan Starr on the right field side of second base and Angelina De Leon almost like in center at shortstop.
To the warning track and left. Jaden Poe nearly dropped it out there. Her first steps were all the way back, and then she had to crash to the ground to make the catch.
Well, it's almost like the ball just died, and Jaden Poe having catch. We saw that happen out in right field with Florida.
Corby Otis steps up. 3 hits today, 4 RBIs for Otis. Her career high is 5 RBIs in a game. She's done that 3 times, including last weekend. She's been a machine today. A lot of these Gator hitters have been.
Yeah, she really has done a great job. 3 for 4 on the day.
Line drive to Pickens, makes the catch. Ole Miss gets the double play. Needed that. If you're a Rebels fan.
Yeah, just a huge play for Ole Miss. Something that they really needed to hopefully change the momentum.
Ole Miss down to their final 3 outs in game 1 of the series between the Rebels and the Florida Gators. 8-7 ball game. Florida back in the 5th inning brought in a run An RBI single by Corby Otis scored Riley Holtorf back in that 5th inning. It's been the difference maker so far as Pickens skies this in foul grounds. Left side, there's Otis. She makes the catch. Quick first out for Ole Miss to begin this 7th. And that's a big first out, too, for Florida with the way Pickens has been swinging it lately. Rachel Connors pinch hitting for Ole Miss for Angelina De Leon. Why a pinch hitter, you think, here, Missy, with the game on the line, 1 out already in the books? Why go to Connors here?
I just think because Angelina De Leon has been struggling. I mean, she's been hitting the ball hard, but it's been right at people. So a fresh look here, bringing in Rachel Connors.
Down the first base line, and fair. Connors is on her way to second base. Carlos Guzman didn't signal fair or foul. And Tim Walton's going to challenge this, of course. I mean, he had to get out of the way, but he didn't make a call here.
Home plate umpire William Lopez called it fair, so I don't know. The umpires can review it on their own, so they might be doing that right here, or we'll find out if Tim Walton has initiated the challenge.
All right, they're using an umpire review to look at this. And Jamie Traxel says, hey, Tim Walton, shouldn't that be a challenge from him because he came out and did the review signal to the umpires? But
I think they were already getting ready to merge together around the circle and discuss it. And so I think before he came out, they had decided.
And it has to be definitive. Here's Hawkeye, and that's a foul ball.
Are you kidding? That is so awesome to be able to see a replay like that. That is incredible, the technology.
That is the investment the SEC made in their video review system. 240 frames per second.
That is insane. That is incredible what they can do.
Those are the cameras. You are not getting away with anything at this ballpark, so don't try. And Florida fans in attendance celebrating. Ole Miss fans in venue were not shown that angle. So of course the natural reaction would be to be upset, but in venue they weren't shown that Hawkeye angle. So Connors goes back to home plate in what thought to be a 1-out double, now erased. Connors will have to do it again. It's 1-1. One down for Ole Miss, down 1 to Florida. And what's been a stellar game tonight.
Yeah, it truly has. I mean, we talked about it earlier, you know, what we were going to see, maybe a pitching duel, maybe a hitter's duel, and it definitely has been a hitter's duel in the first part of the game, the first 4 innings, and since then, it's been a pitcher's duel. You know, we've gotten the best of both worlds tonight, Jake.
Served into center. but right at Falby. Out number 2 for Ole Miss in the 7th. And down to their last out. And another pinch hitter for Ole Miss. Taylor Roman coming up, number 23.
Google AdSense.
And the freshman pitcher for Florida. Needing one more out for the Gators. She came in to pitch in the 5th, the bottom half of the 5th. And Florida took the lead in the top half of the 5th, so this is a safe opportunity for Oxley. She has 2 in the books this season, but has to go through Taylor Roman. Roman this season is 10 for 41 at the plate, hitting .244. Roman got a piece of it, 2-2. In this situation, you just gotta swing at anything close, Missy, right?
Well, yeah, you don't want to go down looking, that's for sure. So you just got to battle your way and try and find a way to get on base to keep this game alive for Ole Miss.
Full count. Ole Miss down to its last out. Payoff pitch. Foul tip. Hung on. Erickson caught it. Ball game. The freshman Caitlin Oxley slams the door shut on Ole Miss in game 1. And the Gators are a 1-run winner tonight in Oxford.
What a game. What a game. 8-7 Florida. We saw tons of offense in the first 4 innings of this game. The last 3, it was a pitcher's duel. Looking forward to tomorrow.
We still got 2 more games left of this. Hope you're able to join us tomorrow, 3